welcome back. I'm sorry about the half week last week, but we're back on schedule for this one. We're going to continue with Adepta Sororitas, starting off with their many orders. The Order of the Ebon Chalice. The Order of the Ebon Chalice is the oldest of the orders militant, founded at the birth of the Adepta Sororitas by Alicia Dominica, the patron saint of the sisterhood. Dominica led her warriors in countless crusades against the enemies of the Imperium, and she was the first heroine to be proclaimed a living saint by the ecclesiarchy. The uniforms of Dominica's order are based on the original garments worn by the daughters of the emperor, and their combat doctrines, based on equal parts religious devotion and training, have remained largely unchanged for 4,000 years. The order's symbol is a flaming, skull-filled chalice, a representation of the terrible knowledge imparted to Dominica when she was brought before the Golden Throne. The Order of the Valorous Heart. The Sisters of the Order of the Valorous Heart believe they must atone for the unwitting sedition committed by the daughters of the Emperor during Vandir's reign of blood. The Order's founding saint, Lucia, was the most penitent of Dominica's companions, and her battle sisters strive to emulate her example, demanding expiation for the slightest perceived sin. As a result, a disproportionate number of its battle sisters willingly exile themselves and seek redemption as a sister repentia. Saint Lucia is often depicted holding the skull of the executed Lord Vandir, a reminder to never hearken to the words of false prophets, and with a drop of blood running down her cheek, representing the blood sacrifice expected of every battle sister. The Order of the Argent Shroud. Silvana was the first of Dominica's bodyguard to be martyred, assassinated shortly after the Order of the Ebon Chalice was divided into two orders militant. A silvery image of Silvana's skull was left imprinted on her death shroud, and the newly formed order took the Argent Shroud as their image and title. Silvana was renowned for her altruistic spirit and her stoic faith. She seldom spoke, believing that deeds on the battlefield spoke more of a warrior's devotion than any words. The Sisters of the Argent Shroud likewise rarely speak, and they are famed for their selfless acts of heroism. As such, the Order fields a high number of Celestian and Seraphim squads, their faith a shield as strong as their silver armor, and their righteousness a weapon as potent as bolter fire. The Order of Our Martyred Lady. Catherine was regarded as Dominica's second-in-command. Her order was originally entitled the Order of the Fiery Heart, in reference to Catherine's fierce persona, but so deeply did the Battle Sisters mourn her death that they renamed themselves the Order of Our Martyred Lady, and for many centuries thereafter they wore only black. The red cloth of their livery was adopted by the majority of the Order's preceptories in remembrance of the Sisterhood's losses during the Third War for Armageddon. Even amongst the devout warriors of the Sororitas, The Sisters of Our Martyred Lady have a reputation for incredible determination, inspired by their desire to avenge the deaths of their fallen. This inner fire drives them to destroy their enemies utterly, and those not consumed with cleansing flames are ruthlessly put to the sword. The Order of the Bloody Rose. The Order of the Bloody Rose was not formally created until 2.5 millennia after the founding of the Adepta Sororitas, and by this time its patron saint, Mina, was long dead. Mina was known as a dark and brooding warrior, quick to anger and deadly in combat. She was the most aggressive and impetuous of Dominica's comrades, and her symbol was accordingly a blood-red rose, prominent with thorns, placed upon a pair of crossed swords. The Battle Sisters of the Bloody Rose, resplendent in their deep crimson power armor, echo Mina's desire to slay their enemies as quickly as possible, and the Order's Dominion squads are renowned for the ferocity of their assaults. The Order of the Sacred Rose. Like the Order of the Bloody Rose, the Order of the Sacred Rose was not established during the existence of its patron saint, Arabella. In her lifetime, Arabella earned the honorific of Liberator, and many Battle Sisters, especially Retributors, are known to pray to her spirit for liberation from doubt and rash action when a cool, logical head is required. Of all Dominica's bodyguards, Arabella was known as a particularly disciplined, even-tempered sister. However, behind her serenity lay the determination of a resolute warrior, and her symbol was thus a white rose, held aloft in a mailed gauntlet. The white armored Sisters of the Sacred Rose embody these same virtues, facing down alien hordes and warp-spawned monsters, with bolters calmly leveled where lesser warriors would panic and falter. The Order's Minoris. Although the original 6 orders are by far the most numerous and active of the Order's militant, there are numerous other Orders militant, the Orders Minoris, that have established their own traditions, doctrines, livery, and titles, inspired by one of the Sisterhood's patron saints. These Orders militant vary in size, from barely 100 Battle Sisters to 1,000, but each is dedicated to its mission to serve the Ecclesiarchy's will, and, by extension, that of the Emperor. Wars of Faith. The following list of events gives a few brief details about some of the campaigns, wars, and notable actions involving the armies of the Adepta Sororitas during the latter part of the 41st millennium. This collection represents only a small fraction of the countless battles fought during this blood-soaked time. 799. The San Leor Massacre. A Red Corsairs strike force invades San Leor, the original home world of the Daughters of the Emperor. The Chaos Space Marines are unprepared for the fury of the Sororitas reprisal as they come under assault from 9 separate Orders militant and are utterly annihilated by the combined counterattack. 833. The Battle of Fire and Blood. During the Vinculus Crusade, Black Templars join forces with the Order of the Bloody Rose to purge the heretical warrior cults of the Belaragon cluster. 835. The War for Piety. The shrine world of piety rematerializes after being swallowed by a warp storm 2 centuries earlier. The planet is, however, almost unrecognizable, having transformed into a hideous demon world. Canoness Soraya of the Order of the Sacred Rose immediately leads a battle force of Battle Sisters to the planet to retrieve artifacts from the Reliquary of Hope, one of the few sites on the whole world to have withstood the corrupting touch of chaos. As the rest of her forces establish a formidable perimeter around the Reliquary, Soraya leads several Celestian and Dominion squads into the labyrinthine corridors beneath it. For 3 days, Canoness Soraya and her sisters battle through monster-infested passageways. Bolters cut down scores of blood-hungry demon hounds, and flamers burn swaths of nurglings and bloated plague beasts. Only Soraya and 2 Celestians survive to rejoin the Battle Sisters on the surface, having recovered the left thigh bone of Saint Dolan and 3 pages of the ominous Lexicon of Falsehoods from a stasis vault. The surviving Battle Sisters withdraw to orbit with their prizes, just as a fleet of Grey Knights vessels arrives and lays waste to the planet with cyclonic torpedoes. 858. The Defense of Dimamar. Dimamar, birth world of Sebastian Thor, comes under attack from the Eldar of craft world Ulthwé, without any warning or apparent reason. Seraphim Superior Imelda of the Order of the Bloody Rose immediately retaliates, leading her squad of Seraphim in a daring attack to slay the enemy commander, Farseer Kaurith. The Seraphim's pistols blast a bloody path through a score of black-clad Eldar before the sisters are engulfed in a hurricane of psychic lightning. Though many of her companions fall, Imelda refuses to yield and defiantly advances through the eldritch storm, slaying the Eldar Farseer with a single bolt round to the head. 876. The Blood-Tide Martyrs. Chaos comes to the Basilica of Saint Mariel on the world of Van Horn, in the shape of the bloodthirster known as the Lord of the Blood Tide. The first to oppose the demon's legions are the Battle Sisters of the Order of the Ebon Chalice, but soon after battle is joined, all contact is lost with the Adepta Sororitas. The demons are eventually vanquished with the arrival of the Fourth Brotherhood of Grey Knights. Upon their victory, contact with the Imperium is re-established, and it is discovered that every Battle Sister on the planet has been killed. The slain are officially elevated into the ranks of honored martyrs in the eyes of the Sisterhood. $897. The Slaughter at Sanctuary 101. Fortress Sanctuary 101 and all the Sisters of Battle within are destroyed by the Necrons. 938. The Battle of the Penitent. The Orders of the Valorous Heart and Ebon Chalice suffer great losses against war boss Black Axe's orcs, and are pushed back to the walls of the Cathedral of Saint Dufault. The attackers are held back only due to the unyielding determination and sacrifice of hundreds of Sisters Repentia. However, their martyrdom buys time for the Battle Sisters to open the vast cathedral gates. The greenskins are slaughtered shortly thereafter as 24 penitent engines rampage across the battlefield, staining it with orc blood. 980. The Prometheum War. The Order of the Ebon Chalice reinforces Space Marines of the Salamanders chapter, who are engaged in a brutal urban war against the dread Black Legion on the world of Helatine. The enemy is put to the torch as dozens of immolators and land raiders redeemers burn a path through several war-torn cities. Despite the strength of their combined forces, the Imperium's advance is halted when Lord Gralistix, the demon prince leading the Chaos forces, unleashes a legion of possessed Chaos Space Marines. As the frenzied Chaos Horde rips through the Imperium's ranks, Battle Sisters and Space Marines fight back to back, their bolters and flamers defiantly blazing away as every warrior endeavors to sell their life dearly. However, the Allied forces are saved when Saint Celestine appears, falling upon the Chaos Horde like an avenging angel. The living saint carves a bloody path through the baying horde towards Lord Gralistix before plunging her fiery blade through his tainted heart. With the death of Gralistix, the Chaos Horde is banished into the warp. But of Celestine there is no sign, for she has vanished as mysteriously as she appeared. The Martyrdom of Praxedes. Canoness Praxedes of the Order of Our Martyred Lady reinforces the Imperial Guard on the cardinal world of Occasus, soon after the start of the Second Tyrannic War. As the Tyranids of Hive Fleet Kraken assault the Ecclesiarchal Cathedral, the combined fire of Retributor squads and Exorcist tanks obliterates the first wave, but the second manages to breach the cathedral's fortress walls. As Tyranids bore through, Praxedes confronts a mysterious Hive tyrant. During the fighting, the Canoness is dealt a mortal wound, but even as her blood pours onto the floor, Praxedes summons the strength to land one final blow, caving in the Hive tyrant's skull with a thunderous strike from her power mace. With the tyrant's destruction, the Tyranid swarm loses all direction. The Battle Sisters waste no time in pressing the assault, determined to avenge the death of their beloved leader. Such is the fury of their counterattack that the remaining aliens are swept aside, buying the time needed to evacuate the Ecclesiarchy's priests from Occasus. 998. The Third War for Armageddon. The Orders of the Argent Shroud and Our Martyred Lady stand amongst the Imperium's defenders as Ghazghul Thraka invades the world of Armageddon once more. And that is where we are going to bring this video to a close. I know these have been a couple of shorter videos, but we're reaching appropriate stopping points kind of early. I think it's just the way this book is written. Not that this is what you come to this channel for, but just a quick editorial note from my point of view. The whole religious fanatic, like Roman Catholic thing doesn't so much, to me, jive with the strict, like, military, I'm not sure what the word is, but, you know, every single one of these orders, right, has the same names for the exact same types of unit. And I know that this is a tabletop thing, right, because they want their lore to fit as well as they can with the tabletop to sell more miniatures. But it seems to me that individual groups, talking about even like Space Marines too, would iterate on these concepts a little bit more than they do, right? So I don't really see a group of soldiers like this, all knowing, like, I guess I'll just take immolators because that was something that we talked about. Would they, you know, are all their immolators going to be equipped the same way necessarily? Are they all going to know them as immolators? It kind of, the tabletop bleeds a little bit too much into this sort of stuff for my taste. From what we've read of Dark Imperium, they don't mention that sort of stuff so much, which I appreciate. But yeah, it I don't know. It bothers me a little bit, given the level of bureaucracy in the Imperium, especially. I have a really hard time thinking that the de facto standards, as opposed to the nominal standards for units or nomenclature or whatever, probably are pretty different. Anyways, not that any of you asked for that, but there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you guys next time.